There's few things more essential to a happy life than community. The show. This hilarious and heartfelt show aired from September 17, 2009 until June 2nd, 2015, and in that time amassed a huge cult following, a fan-made convention, and helped skyrocket its cast careers. But what made Community so special and made it stand out, especially when airing alongside comedy juggernauts Parks and Rec and The Office? Well, to make something lovable, the people behind it have to truly love it, and that is very much true for Community. Created and written by Dan Harmon, most famous for making some guy a pickle or something?
I'm Pickle Rick!
I don't know. The show was based on his own experiences and relationships in community college. Harmon was let go for season 4, replaced by David Goracio and Moses Port. Known for such critical hits as Aliens in America? The difference between truly knowing your characters and trying to fill in a checklist of what you think they are is so apparent that when Harmon returned for the last 2 seasons, the characters referred to year 4 as the gas leak year, as both a joke and to explain why the characterization was off. Personally, I think season 4 isn't horrible, but it's like taking Community's beautiful, lifeless body and making a puppet dance. It's so bland and heartless, if not a little morbid. It was petitioning from the cast that helped get Harmon back, because as fans themselves, they knew the show wasn't working without Dan Harmon. Speaking of the cast, the show starred Joel McHale as Jeff Winger, a lawyer who had been disbarred after it was discovered he faked a bachelor's degree in law, and finds himself at Greendale Community College trying to get one. Gillian Jacobs plays Britta Perry, a high school dropout and activist who doesn't actually have any solutions for political issues and can come off as pretentious but does sincerely care about others. We had Danny Petty as Abed Nadir, a deeply observing yet socially awkward student who could only understand the world and hope that it understands him through the filter of films, shows, and pop culture. Not unlike anybody I know. There's Donald Glover, yes, that Donald Glover, as Troy Barnes, a former high school football quarterback who dislocates both shoulders in fear of the pressure football has placed on him and becomes Abed's best friend and fellow dork. Alison Brie, of current fame Glow and that super trippy Horse Girl movie. You haven't watched it? Watch it. It's drugs. It's literally drugs, the movie. Played Annie Edison, a young, overachieving paranoid student whose fast track to university came to an abrupt end when she became addicted to Adderall to cope with all her schoolwork. Yvette Nicole Brown portrayed Shirley Bennett, a single mother, devout Christian, and while usually the moral compass of the group, as much as you can be with this bunch, had thinly veiled anger issues that led to antics and questionable decisions of her own. Chevy Chase played Pierce Hawthorne, an elderly millionaire and owner of Hawthorne Wipes, whose outdated mentality on people and social constructs at times put him at odds with the group that he desperately wanted to be a part of. Jim Rash is Craig Pelton, the sexually ambiguous, costume-and Dalmatian-loving, eccentric dean who was always desperate to make Greendale out to be a university and not a community college. And Ken Jeong is Ben Chang, originally the group's unstable Spanish teacher, whose role varies from security guard to actor to strange guy living in the vents, but still consistently psychotic. Round out the cast. Outside of Chevy Chase and Dan Harmon's infamous dispute, which I won't really get into here, the show just permeates love from everybody on board. They all love these characters, and it is shown in the consistency that they're portrayed with, the delicacy that the small and intimate moments carry, and how, to this day, in interviews, they all seem to have a place in their heart for their characters. But what made this show wasn't just individuals, it was the relationship between the characters. And those felt truly genuine because of the relationships within the cast. From having banded together to get Dan Harmon back for season 5, to still having a group chat for the cast full of inside jokes to this day, to nearly all still being open to fulfilling the promise of 6 seasons in a movie in one form or another. The bond they created over the show's tenure is apparent, and it almost pulls you in and makes you feel like you yourself are a part of this group. But you can't just have characters you love, you also have to respect them and their progression, or in cases like Britta, regression.
You seem smarter than me when I met you.
Thank you.
The biggest examples of letting characters grow and evolve come in the form of Jeff and Troy. When we were first introduced to Jeff, he fakes the existence of his study group to try to get a date with Britta. We quickly learn his existence has thrived on lying to get what he wants and complete selfishness, but as the show goes on, we see him become more self-sacrificing and making unprompted attempts to celebrate his friends. Yes, he does do these things begrudgingly at times, and he carries enough original traits to let him continue being the cynic of the group and grounding the ridiculousness of it all, but it's never at the cost of reverting relationships and growth back to square one. Making a line sold on a lie like this:
You've just stopped being a study group. You've become something unstoppable. I hereby pronounce you a community.
Pretty much surmises the point of the show. Grow into a truth you yourself experience, and into a line like this:
I love that I got to be with you guys. You saved my life and changed it forever. Thank you.
that hits so much harder because you experience that growth. Troy starts off as a checklist of character stereotypes. He's a jock with charisma, swagger, and a mean streak that reduces those around him. Originally planned to be paired off more with Pierce due to their closed-minded and childish way of seeing things, the show inadvertently grew a relationship between Troy and Abed. A friendship that became a big source of appeal for the show and made Troy a subtle glue to the group that you don't notice until Donald Glover leaves in season 5 to focus on his own projects, which turns out was a great choice for him, but definitely left a void in the show that never quite gets refilled. His relationship with Abed allows Troy to let go of the expectations he has for himself and the ones his popularity in high school has placed on him. Through a sincerely loving and accepting friendship with Abed, we see Troy become dorkier and more childlike, and we see him become happier and unafraid of the judgment of others. In episodes where we see him try to get a date or talk to characters outside the group, we see his discomfort no longer manifest in bravado and aggressiveness, but rather in security that at least he knows who he is, and he's even willing to give up a date that he feels doesn't respect the relationship he has with Abed and what it has done for him. This consistency is brought on not just to the heavy emotional moments, but the lighter, more comedic segments that help balance out the show from ever being too passive or too heavy. From recurring ideas like the famous paintball episodes, to little jokes like the constant sneaking in of Michael Higgins' Daybreak. Recurring jokes are essential to make an audience feel incentivized to come back and to feel included, as well as creating a tone so that other episodes like geothermal escapism and pillows and blankets.
Under advice from his top general, Abed sees no choice but to unleash his doomsday device.
You're gonna die, you little bastards!
What the heck is that?
He is part man, part pillow. All carnage.
Don't require too much work to accept because they fit into the insane norm that is Greendale. Also, they made it so I could talk about Annie's boobs, and I like I'm talking about the monkey, and I don't look like a complete degenerate.
Isn't that right, Annie's boobs?
Please rename that thing. And this time, not with a contest on Twitter.
It's his Twitter account. He can do what he wants.
While the show has many themes from episode to episode, the overall message of the show is what happens when you learn to love those around you, the way that love helps you grow and learn, and how hard the bravest love of all, or freeing love, is. Community ran on a season-to-season basis, meaning that after every season wrapped up, nobody knew if that was the last we would see of it. Every season it came back was a gift, and as the fan base grew, it became harder to let it go. With the final season not being on NBC, but on Yahoo Screen, RIP, it's okay if you don't remember it, no one does, the production and camera work felt different, and what felt like a directionless season ended in a beautiful and sincere goodbye that taught the importance of letting go. Using Abed to once again tease of the fourth wall, the characters speculate what a 7th season would have looked like, and why we had grown to love the show so much.
It's TV. It's comfort. It's a friend you've known so well and for so long. You just let it be with you. And it needs to be okay for it to have a bad day, or phone in a day. And it needs to be okay for it to get on a boat with LeVar Burton and never come back. Because eventually, it all will.
Through Jeff, we experience our own emotions of not letting the show, these characters, go, because they have come to mean so much to us. They have become friends, but a freeing love leaves room for your friends to follow their dreams and experience life without you, and simply rejoicing in the fact that they are chasing their own happiness. I had been toying with the idea of this project and these videos for a long time, and I have a list of things I've wanted to cover for years. And you best believe the Spider-Man trilogy is on there. But what was it about Community that finally drove me to action? During a period in my life that was full of change and separation, with friends chasing their dreams and me chasing mine, and my established patterns thrown into upheaval, I began to rewatch Community. With so much uncertainty in my life, Community was there in the few free moments in between, and I found myself with a friend who understood me and taught me that as much as the changes hurt, it was freeing love that let my friends let me go to chase what I wanted, and all I could do was the same. It showed me that in a world full of variables, finding my true constant self would make the world more bearable. I finally began to write and record this because after I finished the show, I wasn't ready to let go of the one thing that had been there for me. And this has given me the chance to continue existing in the world of Community, to revel in the gift that it gave me. My friends and I are still busy, and my schedule is still in a whirlwind mess. Especially right now. But finally putting this out and working on more videos is a new beginning. And wrapping this one up is my way of finally letting go. This is my way of saying goodbye to community. Goodbye. And thank you.